I'm ready to go on a walk after this, and my hair desperately needs a wash. So I don't look my best, but I am here for personal development series number 19. Today's topic is about goals, which I feel like I talk about a lot just because I've been like setting monthly goals for the most part. And this month I've actually been sticking to 2 out of 3 of them. But this one's a little bit different. So this one is also inspired by a conversation at work, just like last week's was. So one of my actually one of my bosses was talking about um like she'd gone hiking, and it was a trail where like a lot of people were biking too, and they were talking about like the cost of bikes, and she said like she wanted to be rich, and I was like, what do you mean by that? And she did come up with this definition, like she doesn't bike, but she wants to be able to like afford this expensive bike just because, and like that's her definition of rich. The next day though, when I was out walking, I like came back to that thought of like being rich and like what that means, or like having clarity on your goals and some other things around goals. And so that's what I want to talk about today. So this isn't about like my goals or like goals for next month or what I'm doing this month or anything like that. This is just about kind of like some of my thoughts on goals in general for like monthly or like bigger ones. So the first thing that I had is to have a clear goal. I think this does get talked about quite a bit, which is good, but it's important to know like what you're working to. Otherwise, you never know when you're gonna get there. So if we just like stay on our example of being rich, she's like, I just wanted to be rich, and like that's how she went through her life. She would never know like when she is rich, when she's hit that, when she's like made it. And so that's something where I mean, you could just run into like your whole life being disappointed that you never achieved your goals, or your whole life always striving for more and more and more and more and more and more and more, because you never know when enough is enough because you don't have a definition on that. As your life changes and as you grow, everything is going to change, and if you don't have like a set definition of what you're working towards, that's going to keep changing and you're never going to achieve it, which is like super disappointing. So I think it's important to ask yourself what what does this mean? Like what does this goal mean? What exactly am I working towards? Like especially with something like being rich or something kind of like bigger, it's important to really clarify that. Like, does this mean just like I can afford a certain house? Is this like a typical annual income? Is this like a certain vacation I can afford? Things like that. One thing I did with like, I have really three like life goals, I guess, and I used to get distracted with all kinds of daydreams, like, oh, I want this and I want that and I want to go do this. And then really, I was like, I just want to be clear on what I'm actually working towards. And once I did that, it was like super simple. Like, I didn't get all of the distractions anymore. It's just, I want to be able to travel half of the year, I want to be out of debt, and I want to be able to work from my computer so I'm not tied down to anywhere so I can travel half the year. Like, that's it. Like those are my like life goals. I do certainly have a list of things that I would like to do within my life as well, but those are like the big three. Everything else is just like sprinkles on a deliciously frosted cake. And so once I got clear on that, like all of these things don't really distract me anymore, because like I can daydream like for hours a day, and so then I can just daydream, and I don't like add them into my life plan anymore now that I'm like super clear on what I actually want. Another thing too that I was thinking of, and this is one thing that I kind of do with my monthly goals, or I do it like every 2 months. I know I've been like a little on my monthly goals this year, but like I'm still working on it. Um, is to have a different goal after that. So like say, you have this income goal, like I want to be rich, I want to make this amount of money every month, and then you achieve that. I think it is beneficial to then set a different type of goal. So set a goal like around relationships and like building relationships, or around your health, or around like taking care of yourself, or like having time off, or whatever. Like set something that's different so you can have a break. I don't think it's a problem to set a goal like in the same kind of category, but I think it's good to pause on that. So that way you can take the time to really appreciate like what you've done, work on a different area of your life, and that way I think that can help to like you're not just I'm just focused on this one thing and everything else is by the wayside, because that can be kind of stressful also. And then it gives you time to like appreciate what you've done and revel in achieving your goals. And then also like if you do go back to that goal in the future, like the same kind of category of goal, you have time to like reevaluate. You have time to like live in your achievement, and then you can reevaluate if you want to keep going. I think too, if you just set, so say like you set an income goal, and then you set another one, and then another one, and then another one, like you're constantly just living in that like mentality of needing more and more and more and more, and never achieving it because you always want more and more and more and more. So you never get there, and that's super disappointing to never get there. So I think it's really helpful to get there on somewhere else. Get there on somewhere else, like, so you're achieving things. That's just like a different mindset also. And like a belief that you can achieve your goals too, because you achieve it and then you achieve something else, and you're never just like working on this one thing and not getting there and really unsatisfied. So that was another thought that I had. The last one that I have too, is this is kind of more for uh, Edgar's just walking around. This is something I was thinking of like for my monthly goals. Is I'll kind of along the same lines, like be clear and like have a definition, but for some things like have an end line, like just know when enough is enough for some things, or like a range is enough for some things. So like for my examples for like my goals that I have this month, so one of them is to write 4 poems a week. I'm not gonna set a goal next month to write 6 poems a week. Like four is my end line. Like 3 to 4 poems a week is my range, and if I write more than that, fantastic. But I'm not gonna set a goal of that or like try to achieve that, because writing 3 to 4 a week is like perfect. I don't need to add any more onto that. Or like walking every day. Right now I'm walking every day, and it's awesome because it's become just like it's not even a thought anymore. I had one day where I had to like convince myself. I think actually I had 2 days where I had to convince myself to go on a walk. But now it's just like, when am I walking? What loop am I walking? How long am I walking? Like that's it. Like that's the extent of my thought about it. It just like happens. It's really just like the when and where and how long. Is my only thoughts. But like I'm not gonna set a goal next month to walk like twice a day some days, or to walk every day and also like start strength training like 4 days a week, which I'm not doing right now. All I'm doing is walking, which is fine. I'm not going to like add on to that. For right now, just walking is totally perfect for me. I absolutely enjoy it. I don't really want to add anything onto that, and I don't want to be walking more, and I don't want to set a limit. Like I'm not gonna do like you have to walk for at least an hour a day. I like not having a definition on it. So I know for right now, like walking works for me. Walking every day has been great. Next month I might not. There's some days where like when we're unloading a truck, I get like 10,000 steps by like 10 a.m. Maybe I don't want to go on a walk on those days also, I'm kind of tired. So if I just walk like 6 days a week, that's fine. Even 5 would be fine too, but I know just for me and like my physical and mental health, 6 to 7 days work. So just like knowing what works for you, knowing like, what, that's my cutoff, I don't need to go further, or like this is my range, like this is what works best for me, I think is really important. Then you're not really like pushing yourself too far, in a sense. Like I say, pushing yourself unnecessarily too far, right? Because if I were to be like, I'm gonna write 6 poems a week, like that would be more stress on me and like more putting more pressure on myself than it would be worth. Like having 3 extra poems a week instead of one is not worth the extra pressure that I would end up feeling on myself every single day. So it's good to know like when it's helpful to push yourself and when it's like, you know what, this is good. Like it's just not worth it anymore. Um that's what I had for my thoughts on goals. Have a definition, set a clear goal, change it up once you achieve that goal, do something different, and then know for some things when, like, what your limit is, or your range is, and when it's not worth it to push yourself any further. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you to my coworkers for inspiring a couple of them now. It's been very helpful. And have a wonderful night, a wonderful weekend. I will see you guys next Friday.